The Reptile House in the Elm Hill City Zoo is officially finished! In today's episode, we will decorate the interior of the building and add a lot of small exhibit reptiles and amphibians. And we'll also build a small cafe inside of the Reptile House. I am so proud of how this building has turned out, and I cannot believe that it is finally finished! Hello guys, this is Cesar Creates and welcome back to my channel. I cannot believe that I am finally able to say this. The Reptile House in the Elm Hill City Zoo is officially finished. Well, it will be after you will be done watching this video. The Reptile House is my biggest project in the Elm Hill City Zoo so far. Maybe not because of the size of this building, but more of because of its complexity and the amount of hours that it took me to build this entire building, both outside, like whole facade and the surroundings of the building, but also the indoor enclosures also took so much time and thought to make them, and the things that you'll see today in today's episode also took me so long. So yeah, this is definitely my grandest project in the entire zoo, and I am so beyond thrilled to finally see it being done fully, and I really cannot wait for those cinematic shots at the end of the video to show you how it has turned out, because I am so proud of this project. In the last episode of the Elm Hill City Zoo, we added the Nile monitor. Of course, if you haven't seen that video, I will put the link down in the description and on the screen. And as I told you guys, it was the last reptile that we added in here. And after adding the Nile monitor, my plan was to just add the exhibit species in here, like reptiles and amphibians, finish the interior and finish the missing back facade of the building. And back then I thought to myself, okay, this should be quite relatively quick job just to finish it and to call this project a day. But when I started to build this, I realized that I was so damn wrong, because this took me so much time. Oh my god. In this video, you will only see like a quarter of things that I had to do for this episode. I think that it was actually the most that I ever had to build for a single episode of the Elm Hill City Zoo. It took me so damn long. You will only see some decorating of the interior. I decided to leave in the most interesting parts to me, although I will admit that this video is probably not the most interesting one of the whole bunch of the Elm Hill City Zoo videos, because it is simply like decorating the interior and building the shells for the exhibits. We'll also add a cafe inside of this building. We'll also build the entire second floor here, but we won't be adding any big ground animal, and I know that those only building episodes are not doing as good as the ones that include the habitat for the animal, and this is okay. But I really wanted to finish this building, and I know that still some of you wanted to see me adding those finishing touches, so I hope you will appreciate it. And of course, as I told you guys so many times before, but maybe there are some new people to the channel, hello, it's so nice to have you here. After this video, so next week, next Saturday, we'll have an update tour of the entire Elm Hill City Zoo, and I am super excited for this. So definitely stay tuned. I know that so many of you are waiting for this. Under all of the episodes of the Elm Hill City Zoo, there are always several comments. Please do the tour. We are waiting for the tour. We need a tour. So this is finally the time. I was waiting to finish this building to show you it being just finished. So we will, of course, during the tour, go inside of it, and we'll focus on all the details to show you everything that I cut out of this video, because there were some cutouts. As I told you, I wanted to make it still interesting, and there's also a lot of crazy camera movements when it comes to building interiors in Planet Zoo, so I also didn't want to make you dizzy or anything. So we will definitely go inside here during the tour next week, so I can show you everything. The tour will probably be quite long. I decided that I wanted to make it as we did it last time. Last tour was actually quite long time ago. But during that tour, we went everywhere, to every backstage area, to every, I don't know, corner of the zoo. So this is what I want to do right now. Maybe I'll try to make it a bit faster, because last time it was like 2 hours, and now the zoo has so many different enclosures, new animals. So if I wouldn't make it any faster, it will be probably like 3 or 3.5 hours, I don't know, but I'll try to make it quicker this time. And also what I wanted to mention is that if some of you are still like considering and want to become a sponsor of any of the enclosures in the Elm Hill City Zoo, this is the time, because during the tour we will check out all of the plaques that are here in the zoo with the sponsors. So if you'd like to see your name in the Elm Hill City Zoo during the tour, it is time to become a sponsor, and you can do it with the join button down below. You need to become a member of the channel. And of course, huge thanks to all the current sponsors. I cannot wait to show you your plaques in the zoo. I really appreciate that so many of you decided to be a sponsor in the zoo. I know that so many different projects on YouTube right now have something similar. I watched recently some videos by other creators, and I know that you can also become like sponsors or members or anything in other zoos on YouTube. So I still really appreciate that so many of you decided to become a part of the Elm Hill City Zoo. This is so cool. So thank you so much. Okay, but let's talk about the things that you guys could actually see on the screen during the speed builds. So as you could see, we started with doing like a shell for the exhibit boxes. So we'll have the entire corridor of different exhibit boxes with reptiles in here that I grouped or like placed based on the biomes that they come from and continents. So we'll have a lot of those desert ones in here and some of the tropical ones, like for example the Gila monster, the blue-tongued lizard, the horned viper, the puff adder, and also for example the boa constrictor in the more tropical section, and the lesser Antillean iguana. I'll basically add every available reptile and every available amphibian that is in the exhibit boxes in Planet Zoo. So we'll have quite a lot of them here, and by adding them, I actually added all of the available exhibit animals in Planet Zoo to the Elm Hill City Zoo, besides 2 walkthrough exhibit animals, the sloth and the fruit bat. But we'll have all of those that live in those exhibit boxes, because we already have an insect house. We added there all the insects that are available in the game, and now we are adding all the reptiles. Most of them will be in this corridor that you can see right now, besides the terrapins, the tortoises, and also the green iguanas that will be slightly in different places. You'll see that in the cinematics by the end of the video. And also we'll have all the amphibians like frogs, salamanders, newts on the second floor of this whole building, so you will also be able to see that later. The entire reptile house in the Elm Hill City Zoo is a bit inspired by the reptile house and aquarium in Berlin Zoo. This is not a recreation, this is not a replica, but I was really heavily inspired by it and by this like indoor crocodile river that they have in the middle of this building. I really thought that this is such a nice idea that I wanted to recreate, but I also was very inspired by the way that they displayed their terrariums and like those exhibits for smaller reptiles, and that shell for the exhibits that we created at the beginning of the video is heavily inspired by Berlin. I actually thought that it will be a bit easier to recreate in the game, but the problem was all the corners, because I just didn't have the pieces that I could use for those corners, so I had to improvise a bit. But in the end, I quite liked them. The main purpose of those shelves is just to make those exhibits look a bit smaller, because they are enormous in Planet Zoo. Like, you can barely see such a big enclosures for such a small animals in zoos. I don't think that the size is quite realistic, and I really hope that in the future, maybe in Planet Zoo 2, if we will ever get it, Frontier will add different sizes of those enclosures. That will be amazing, because okay, for the boa constrictor, for example, it is okay, but for animals like small tree frogs, it is just enormous, and you can barely see them in those huge exhibits. So I really hope that in the future it can be changed. But yeah, those shelves and windows are there to make them look a bit smaller. I also used something that I really loved from Berlin Zoo. So as you guys can see, I didn't add any dividers between of those exhibits. The guests, when they stand next to them, they can see in the inside of the exhibit next to it. And thanks to that, those enclosures like visually look bigger, but they have those dividers with, of course, the glass. This is something that Berlin Zoo does as well. And like near the bottom or near the ground of the enclosure, they have this like milk glass or frosted glass. I don't really know how it's called in English, but it prevents the animals from seeing each other, from getting, you know, stressed, trying to attack each other through the windows. But the upper side is completely transparent. Maybe if they will climb somewhere up, they can see each other, but they cannot like directly attack each other through the glass. So this is really cool, and I thought that it looks really nice. So I did that for both the desert enclosures and also the tropical enclosures. When it comes to the tropical enclosures, I also did something that I saw many different creators do. So trying to make the exhibit box a bit bigger, because I think that, for example, for the iguanas, the exhibit box is a bit too small, and I tried to expand it by, you know, adding the part myself, like decorating it in similar way than the enclosure is. Of course, we have a glass in there, but we sort of need to imagine that there is no like this glass from the exhibit box, and it is all connected. That's why the other feature that I would love is to be able to make those enclosures like with null glass, so we cannot see it. It will be also amazing, because thanks to that, we will also be able to, you know, sort of cheat a bit with those enclosures, make them bigger, make them smaller if you want to. But yeah, this is unfortunately there is this glass, but we need to imagine that. I did that for both the iguanas, the lesser Antillean iguana and the green iguana. I actually saw the lesser Antillean iguana recently in Prague Zoo during my visit. It is such an amazing lizard. This is what the first time that I was able to see it. It is a critically endangered animal that is not very common in zoos, so I was really privileged to see it. Overall, my visit to Prague Zoo was amazing. I loved the zoo so much. I really had the best time in there. I loved seeing all those enclosures, the different unique species of animals. I got so like inspired by that zoo. And there's even a short on my YouTube channel if you haven't seen that, with a short like summary of my visit. So yeah, I had so much time and I saw so many species of animals that I love, and a lot of them I saw for the very first time in my life, just as this iguana and just as, for example, the shoebill or wombats, because I've been to the zoos that have wombats, but I never was able to see them because they were hidden somewhere sleeping probably, and this time I was really lucky because I was even able to see a baby wombat. So amazing zoo. If you ever have a chance to visit Prague Zoo, I definitely really recommend it because it is one of my favorite zoos right now, and I really want to visit it once more somewhere in the future because I really loved it. After I was done decorating those exhibit boxes, it was time to make those long corridors of the Reptile House a bit more interesting. The Reptile House is kind of an older building in the zoo. As I told you guys so many times before, the Elm Hill City Zoo is an old city zoo that has a long history. It has a lot of those older buildings. But it is also a very popular zoo, so we have a lot of funds to build more modern enclosures and buildings. So from time to time we are building something more modern, such as the, for example, Wonders of Oceania, that was super modern and something very like current with this immersive experience for the guests. But this one, the Reptile House, is definitely an older building, like an older approach to those animal buildings that you can see in older zoos. That's why you don't have things like a crazy walkthrough jungle that I just saw in Prague in the Indonesian forest building. You have something more like you are just in the building that has very long and empty corridors, and you have those windows where you can go and go up to and watch the animals, and this is something that I went for. I was trying to make those corridors look a bit more interesting, although I still feel like they're a bit empty, but this is just how it is in those older zoos. They look like this. And also, to be honest, I quite appreciate a wide corridor, because there's nothing that makes me more angry than people just walking slowly and blocking my way. Sometimes when I'm in those buildings in the zoos and there's like this I don't know, fancy trail going through an indoor jungle or anything, and the path is so narrow and there's a lot of people and you just cannot squeeze yourself in front of them just to, because sometimes people are taking their time, which is okay, I understand this, but sometimes they're just stopping and, I don't know, talking to each other or just looking at their phones, and you just cannot walk past them, and this pisses me off so much. I just hate this because this is such a waste of my time, and I appreciate a wide corridor like here, so I just had to stop this urge of adding too many things to this, because I was trying to add different, benches or bins or adding planters and so on, but then I just reminded myself that this is just an older building that should have wide corridors so that the guests can feel comfortable and can watch those different reptiles without having a need to push themselves against other people. So this is what I went for. I created a ceiling that was very highly inspired by Berlin Reptile House. I also added some places for the info signs, like those cool I don't know how to even call it, like those almost windows that you can open, and inside there's different like posters and different info signs that can be changed from time to time. I created some of those myself, but I also used those conservation posters that we have in Planet Zoo, and I think that they fit in so well. And we also have those entrances to those bridges where the crocodiles are, where the Crocodile River is, so I also wanted to decorate them in fun way, just to sort of invite the guests inside. So the bridges here have those like thatch roofs, so I decided to decorate those entrances in a similar way, so it is more inviting for the guests. After that, I added some planters to the building, and it was time to add a cafe. I really wanted to have like a place where the guests can sit, where they can buy something to eat or drink, so I added just that. Sometimes those animal buildings, like when they are bigger, they also have some different shops or different smaller restaurants. This is also very inspired by something that I saw in Berlin Zoo in the World of Birds. I think there's also like this small shop where you can buy something to drink or eat, or some ice cream or anything. And I added the tables and the chairs that we created actually for the Desert Adventure Park for the restaurant, but I think that they fit in here quite well. I created my own lamps, and I also created the whole counter and the cafe inside. I actually used some blueprints in here. I think that those are by Toves, and he from his coffee shop, really talented creators that I love to watch, so I hope that he won't mind. I will put the link down in the description to this set of blueprints if you would like to use something like this. This whole speed build will be all about doing the interior of the building. I also did the entire exterior, so I finished the facade in the back. I added also a really fun detail of a little tower, but I did this all off camera because it took me so much time, And I felt like this would be simply repeating all the stuff that we already did in the first episode of the Reptile House, where I created like the front facade of the building. So if you'd like to see how I did that, how I added all of those decorations and simply created the whole facade, you can go to this video. I will put the link down in the description and on the screen, because if I were to include that, I think that this speed build will be like, I don't know, 2 hours or something, because really it took me so long to build this for this episode. And maybe it is time to do some self-promoting, because I feel like I've been neglecting that lately. So if you guys are enjoying the videos, if you like what I do here, if you like my builds and are appreciating all the effort that is taking me to build things like this, please consider to click the subscribe button. That would really mean a world to me. I know that a lot of you who are watching are not subscribed, and for you this is just a simple click, and for YouTube this is such a huge thing, but because you are simply telling this website that you simply like my videos, and YouTube will do its job of promoting them, so I would really appreciate that. Actually, building this was so much work that it broke my mouse. While building this building, I had to buy a new mouse because, as you probably know, if you ever played the Planet Zoo on your computer with the mouse, you use this middle thing on your mouse that you use for scrolling, like this little circle. If you press it, you are able to rotate the camera in the game, and unfortunately on my mouse it stopped working. Like I couldn't press this, like I was pressing this button, but it was just working once per, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 clicks or anything. So I just had to buy a new mouse, because I know that it will be very important for the tour that I am about to record. So actually not a bad thing. I quite like my new mouse and I am quite specific about them, so maybe it was a good thing. But yeah, my previous mouse just couldn't handle this build, but also it was quite hard to handle because of simply my life lately. I've been really enjoying this summer, so this means less sitting in front of my computer. I've been spending a lot of time outside on the beach, meeting my friends, going to restaurants and stuff, so I really want to make the most out of the good weather. But as we all know, this is already September and the days are getting shorter, unfortunately, and the temperatures are getting lower also, unfortunately. So from now on I'll definitely have more time to play, but also I tried to change my lifestyle a bit, because as a man of certain age I just cannot sit so much in one place. I have my regular 9 to 5 job like every day, besides the weekend, of course. So I am sitting there in the office for 8 hours, and then I was going back home doing some regular home stuff that we all do, so cleaning and so on, just a regular life. And then I was typically sitting in front of my computer, building in Planet Zoo or any other game, recording videos, editing, or I was watching something on television. And unfortunately, it's not too healthy for you, as I learned the hard way. I gained some weight, and also I wasn't having too much energy and stuff. So this year I really decided to change that. I became much more active. I am walking a lot, sometimes even running. I am trying to do some, like, maybe not severe, but some exercising, and I am also on a diet, and I feel so much better, and I am so proud of myself, because this year I lost already, I think, 13 kilograms, so that's quite a lot, and I've never felt so good as right now. So yeah, I really enjoyed this summer, but of course, this means that I have less time for sitting in front of my computer, but I think that overall it is so much better for me and for my mental and physical health. Of course, I will try to maintain this during the colder months, but I think that I'll still have more time to play, especially that, for example, there is a Planet Coaster 2 on the way, and I really want to build something in this game and start the series here on my YouTube channel, and of course continue the Planet Zoo series, the Elm Hill City Zoo and the Desert Adventure Park, so I will do my best to record as much as I will be able to, but I won't compromise when it comes to my mental and my physical health. So as you guys can see right now, we are building a staircase that will lead to the second floor of the building that will be fully dedicated to amphibians. We'll add all the amphibians that we have in the game. It is actually a bit sad for me because all of the reptile houses that I saw in zoos, they are typically called a reptile house, and inside of them there's not only reptiles but amphibians, but the amphibians are always overlooked, and this is so sad. But in here as well we'll have the amphibians and the whole floor will be dedicated to them. We'll have all the frogs that are in the game, we'll have the axolotl, we'll have the fire salamander and the Danube crested newt, and I think that this is all of them. Yeah, maybe. The second floor will be a bit different, it will be more green, there will be a lot of different plants in there, just to make it look a bit more tropical and a bit more suiting for animals like this. But we of course had to build a staircase that will lead to the second floor, and in this zoo we are thinking about everyone. So what I had to also do is create an elevator, and this was the first time that I was ever building something like this. I didn't know how to start even, but I found a really cool reference picture online of the glass elevator. I remember that the reptile house in the Berlin Zoo had a glass elevator in here, but I couldn't find an actual photo of it. I didn't take a photo where I was there, so I had to improvise and I had to find something, and I was able to find a glass elevator that quite was fitting in here. I've never built something like this. Maybe it should have more details, such as more, I don't know, cables or anything, especially that it is so exposed with a lot of glass, so you could see all the mechanisms, all the, I don't know, ropes and the cables in there, but I just didn't want to spend, I don't know, four hours building an elevator in this game, so I just did a really simple thing that I think looks effective, and it just serves its purpose of making sure that, for example, wheelchair users or mothers with small children and trolleys are able to just go out there and see our wonderful amphibians that we'll have in this building. When it comes to the exhibit species overall, I wish that we had more of them, both the reptiles and amphibians. I made the entire wish list here on YouTube for the exhibit species. The same goes for the habitat animals. Of course, there's so many iconic ones missing. And in one video, I think that I told you that I had a theory why they are missing, and I quite didn't share with you this theory. So we have the time right now, so I can do it. So I basically think, and I am quite sure that there will be eventually Planet Zoo 2, right? With I don't know, flying birds, with aquatic animals, because this is what everyone is expecting, and this will be just stupid of Frontier not to make this, because I think that people will just simply love it, and maybe this game just doesn't have or is simply not capable of simply, I don't know, supporting the flight animations or anything. I don't know anything about this, but I think that Planet Coaster 2 just proves that we'll have eventually Planet Zoo 2, and of course Planet Zoo 2 will come with its own DLCs, just as Planet Zoo 1. And just as in Planet Zoo 1, we didn't get a lot of iconic species such as, for example, polar bears, kangaroos, jaguars, and so on in the base game, because they knew that there will be those high selling points for the DLCs. And I think that they are saving some of those more iconic animals, for example, just as walrus, Nile crocodiles, secretary birds, or more animals that are so highly requested by the community, for those future DLCs for Planet Zoo 2. Of course, there is at least one more DLC coming for Planet Zoo 1, so we'll probably get some of those requested species, but definitely not all of them. And if they were to give us all of those species that we actually want to see in the game, what they will do for the DLCs of Planet Zoo 2, because I am sure that people will be complaining if they will be giving us the same DLCs or the same animals as in the first part of the game. In the second one, they wouldn't probably do another, I don't know, Australian DLC with red kangaroo, with the dingoes and koalas, because people would simply get angry. I think that they'll do something similar as they did with the Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2. So basically, most of the dinos that were included in Jurassic World Evolution 1 were transferred into Jurassic World Evolution 2. So the initial roster was much bigger, and then they were adding more and more dinos. And this is probably something that they will do in Planet Zoo 2. Of course, I don't know that. I'm just assuming, and this is my theory on why we are not getting some of those very requested animals, such as probably, for example, the Nile crocodile. That is probably the most iconic of all the crocodiles, and I would love to have it in this building, but it is still not available in this game. And for the exhibit boxes, those are animals like chameleons that we don't have, like for example a king cobra that a lot of people would like to see, or the pythons that are so common in zoos and we don't have them, or for example the geckos or anything like this. We still are missing so many of those very iconic and common animals. I really wish that one day we'll see Planet Zoo 2, especially that I would love to see birds in this game, or for example aquariums. That will be so amazing. But it will be nice to get some time between the end of support of Planet Zoo 1 before we'll get Planet Zoo 2, because I simply want to finish all of my projects. The new DLC for this game is coming. I know that there was some activity in the Steam database, so they're working on something. It's been a long while since we got a new DLC, so everyone is expecting that the one that they are cooking is big or is grand or anything, and this is probably the last one. We don't know yet, but probably it is. So we'll see what it will actually include. I cannot wait to find out. I hope that they won't release it at the end of September, because I am going for my one last trip during this year, and I really don't want to miss the last DLC. But I assume, and this is something that a lot of people think, that it will be a bigger DLC with animals and just animals, with some animals that are highly requested, so something like a zookeeper pack or anything. And this will be actually quite good, although I love building pieces, I love plants, and you know, getting some of those in this DLC would also be so nice to me. So after being done with the staircase and with the elevator, we started to decorate the amphibian floor. And building on the second floor is actually quite challenging, because I just simply forgot that if you sink something into the ground, in here you are sinking it into the first floor, so everything is sticking through the ceiling. So I couldn't do my typical stuff, which is using just parts of different building pieces and everything else is hidden into in the ground. In here I just had to pay attention that everything is even, everything is nice, and nothing is sticking out through the ceiling. So for example, I couldn't use all the plants that I wanted in those planters that we'll add in here, and also be careful with different bigger pieces. This floor is really nice because of how green and lush it looks, but also it has a really cool view from the windows, because we are of course a bit higher, so the view is really nice. I will show you this in the cinematic shots. The zoo is quite not finished, as you all know, so there's quite a lot of empty space, but still the view is really nice. And also I recreated something that is in Berlin, so when you are on the second floor, you can actually see inside of this like a walk-through jungle river for the crocodiles from the above. So there you have this big like triangular window, and this is something that I also recreated in here, and it looks so cool to be able to see the tops of those big tropical plants that are growing in there, and it looks really amazing. Overall, as I told you, this was so much work. I really appreciate if you guys are still watching and are enjoying this episode. I am so glad that after so many years, so many of you are still watching Elm Hill City Zoo and are waiting for those new episodes. This is so awesome, and I love all your comments, so please keep them coming, because this really really keeps me going and just makes me to want to build in the zoo. So thank you so much for all the support. I know that during summer YouTube is a bit down. You have so much different stuff that is interesting. You are going away, you have some free time, but we are slowly going back to those colder months that you'll spend more time watching, I'm sure. So I am definitely prepared for that, and we'll have some really cool projects in the Elm Hill City Zoo, and not only so. Definitely stay tuned for that. There's a lot of new and exciting things coming in the near future, so I really hope you guys will enjoy it. And with that being said, the speedball part of this video is nearly done. I will meet you in a second to show you around in the cinematic shots, to show you the interior and the exterior of the building and the whole area around it, how I decorated it, and how the Reptile House looks right now, so I really hope you guys will like it. Let me take you for a quick cinematic tour of the Reptile House in the Elm Hill City Zoo. We'll start with the exterior. This building has two different entrances. This is the main entrance and the front facade that we created some time ago. But right now the building also has the second entrance that I created right now, and that is located next to the Vicent habitat that we added not long time ago. In the back, the building also has a small tower that was very inspired by the building from the Berlin Zoo, and I really like this detail about the building. I think it made it look a bit more interesting. I just cannot believe how good this building actually looks, and I am so proud of myself for building something like this in this game. It took so much time, but I think it was so worth it. On the roof of the building, I actually added a lot of things that I found on the workshop. So those are those air conditioning units and different ventilation systems and so on that you normally have on the roofs of buildings like this, especially the ones with the controlled environment like our Reptile House. And overall, the whole outside and the facade of the building is now finished, so let's move to the inside, where we added a small cafe for the guests to grab a drink, to grab a coffee, or something small to eat if they want to. They can sit in here, chill, and eat something while enjoying the view for our reptiles. In here we actually have the monitors, both the Asian water monitor and the Nile monitor. But of course, in this episode, we finally added all of the exhibit species to this building. So right now we have a lot of different reptiles that I really wanted to show you up close because I don't think that they get enough love in this game. The models of those animals are beautiful, and I think that overall the exhibits are such a cool addition to Planet Zoo. As I told you, I added all of them. I added all of the available reptiles and also amphibians that live in those exhibit boxes and that are available in Planet Zoo right now. So this is how the ground floor of the entire building looks. It is fully committed to reptiles. So let's now move upstairs because there's the whole entire floor committed to amphibians. I also created a staircase in this episode with the elevator that leads to the second floor, and in here we have frogs, we have axolotls, salamanders, and newts. And this floor is a bit more lush and green. I wanted to make it look a bit more different than the one below. We are slightly higher, so the view from the windows is also really nice. And from here the guests can also get this really cool upper view for the Crocodile River that is down there. This was also heavily inspired by the Berlin Aquarium and Reptile House. And this is basically all when it comes to today's video. I hope you guys are as excited as me that we are finally done with the Reptile House in the Elm Hill City Zoo. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video like this and like a tour that we'll have in the next episodes. If you liked the video, please give it a big thumbs up down below, leave me a nice comment, tell me what you think about the Reptile House, and if you like to become a sponsor of one of the exhibits in the Elm Hill City Zoo, you can do it by becoming a member of the channel with the join button down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!